So on the latest episode of the PCT podcast, we are delighted to be joined by John Johnston. John is going to speak us through his career, known as JJ by friends and family alike. We will speak through his career and how he's getting on jumping into the world of coaching. So without further ado, JJ, firstly, let me say thank you for taking the time out of your day to speak to us. How are you today?
Yeah, cheers for having me, pal. Looking forward to this one. It should be good. All good apart from this wind outside, but stopped me golf this morning. Fuming.
Yeah, it's for when this gets released. Storm Eunice has ravaged your country, so
destroyed me. I'm supposed to be playing Carden Park today. Gutted,
mate. Well, we'll get on to your golf in during the podcast, but I've got to say I'm quite excited for today as we look to explore your career. And for those listening, can you just give us a brief insight into where you're currently playing your trade?
Yeah, so currently playing at obviously Kidsgrove Athletic. Recently joined there for work commitments and family reasons, really. But you know, the club's brilliant. It always has been. I've stayed in touch with Mick and Coops for a while. So as soon as I knew they were interested and I was leaving Chester, it was a no-brainer, really.
Brilliant. And we're going to tap into that sort of towards the end of the podcast. I want to go all the way back to as far as we can remember. When was it that you started playing football? Were you one of those kids that, you know, if your mum and dad to recall back, you always had a football at your feet?
Yeah, I mean, my dad always says it now. He took me to, my first team was West Point Tigers. I mean, I've still got the top upstairs. I was at the age of 7 and I scored 74 goals that year as a young kid. It was brilliant. I still lost top goal scorer. There's a kid who scored 75, Pete Kiriakou. Remember it like it was yesterday. But and my dad always says I always had a ball at my feet, and to be honest, I just used to love football. It doesn't matter who was playing. We'd drive around on Sunday morning to find games. If my game was off, just to watch the football. It was class, and that's what me and my dad always used to do, to be fair. And I think that's why I loved football so much.
You mentioned that obviously your first team was at sort of under sevens. Was the a point where you wanted to play for a team, and was it the school team that got you into that, or did your dad end up taking you for a team, or how did that go?
No, I mean, I think I'll take my little lad, like he's 3 now, and we go to like soccer schools, and I think that's what my dad used to do with me, just take me, and then all of a sudden under 7 teams formed, which my dad knew the manager of, and straight away I just jumped in and started playing, really, and from there it just excelled. I was always pretty quick, nippy, and I almost just played every minute of every game, and that's what I've always done, to be honest. And I just love playing, even when I've got an injury, hamstrings, whatever. I'm trying to play through it, and that's just the person I am, really. I've just always loved playing.
You mentioned there that there was 74 goals in your first season. Now that's usually quite a learning year, so it's quite clear that you've excelled straight away. At that point, were you aware, or I'm sure your dad was, but were you aware of any interest from sort of pro clubs coming and watching round? Because hearing of a young man scoring 74 goals in a season would certainly get them interested.
Well, yeah, there's no offsides though, so that was always helpful, and I was quick. But yeah, I mean, there's scouts at most games, to be honest. Stoke were always there, Man United were there. I went on trials for Man United loads of times, and it was just more the travelling, really, like with my dad working and stuff. And when Stoke offered me something, it was a no-brainer to go to Stoke, really. It was on my doorstep. I was 7 years old, so really I'm not fussed where I'm playing football. It doesn't matter to you at that age, does it? You can be playing for Dog and Duck down the road or Stoke City. It doesn't matter. You're still going to want to play football. So that was where it was at, really. And
so thinking back to that age, was there any sort of anxiety or thoughts that when you went in at Stoke, or was it just business as usual, going to play with kids your age and kicking the ball about?
Yeah, it's a weird one, really, because I like, even going into new teams, it's never bothered me. I don't know why. I just think because you have to back your own ability, and where you go, if you don't back your ability, then you're not going to succeed there. So you almost go into whatever club you go in, and you think you're the best player there, and if you don't, then there's something wrong, really. And that's the attitude I've always had in football. So you almost, there's been no anxiety. I can't even say it, but nothing from me, really. Like I say, I go into any changing room, and you've got to know yourself that you're more than good enough to be in it. So I think if you let that affect you, then your performances will be affected.
You mentioned there about that internal pressure. Was there any external pressure from the club for you to perform, or was that something that you put on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to say for example, you scored 20 goals last season, you want to score 21 the next season, and when you don't hit that, you're thinking, well, why have I not hit that mark? So I always set myself individual targets. To be fair, no one knows them. I say them in my head, and if I hit them, I hit them. If I don't, then next year you've got to hit that target again, and that's the way I work. Really, I'm a pretty complex character. In all fairness, as you know,
you ended up spending quite a long time in academy football. Was there a point when you realised, or you were told, that you were actually rather good at football and could make a career from it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I think it was under 12s, under 13s. Me and Warren Holmes were playing up. I think it was 2 years at the time. And we played away at, I can't remember where it was. And we got a penalty anyway. I'd scored one already, and it was 1-1 in the game. You're playing 2 years up. And I remember the manager, Andy Holmes, shouted to me to take the penalty. And I'm thinking, this isn't my team, but he's backing me. I missed anyway. I missed the penalty. I hit the post. And I come in a change room after this 1-1, and he went, listen, you don't take any responsibility for that. He says, I put you on it. It's my fault. And he says, you'll take the next one. And to be fair, the next game I played up again, scored it, and everything was fine. So there's never really pressures in academies. I just think you put whatever pressure you want on yourself. And that's football, really. You can big yourself up, or you can put yourself down. But if you put yourself down, then you're going to be down. If you big yourself up, you're going to be flying. So that's the way I've always thought of it, really.
I'm going to skip forward a little bit, so it's relevant with what we're on about now. How big is confidence in any player's game? How much does that play a part in your performances?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're confident and you're flying, nothing can touch you. I mean, we'll touch on this later, I'm sure. But when I was at Alty, Parky had put his arm around you, and he'd make you feel like you were the best player in the league. Let alone, I mean, it doesn't matter. You could have a few bad games, and he's still saying that you're brilliant, you're this, you're A, B, and C, and you're almost like, actually, he's right here. You are a good player, so just believe in it. And I think almost when you start reading your social medias, your Instagrams and stuff, and you start reading all the negative comments, it does almost take a slice out of what you're doing. So maybe one time you make a bad cross and it goes out of play. The next time you're having that touch, you're thinking, oh no, don't cross this ball out of play. When really you should just be thinking, oh, I'm going to get it, my man. I'm going to put a cross in the box. Whereas really, the last thought in your head is, don't clip it over the stand. And if you're going to think that the last thought, that's what you're going to do. So it's massive.
I have just taken a note for us to speak on that later about the Alty part. But you've then clearly, as I mentioned before, you spent a long time, 7 to 16 in the academy football. How were the sort of latter stages, sort of 14 to 16, when decisions were sort of to be made? Did you start to feel any more pressure? Were you stressed at that point, thinking this is going to make or break me?
To be honest, it 14, 15, maybe 13, I think I started to fall out of love with the football a bit, because that's when you go from under 11s and 12s, where it's all fun, you're getting technically better and all that, to actually, you need to win games of football, yeah. And then I was playing up, like I said, and then you almost get dropped back down to your age, and then you're thinking, well, then all the doubts creep in your mind. And I was saying to my dad, I didn't want to go in the end, really. Nothing against Stoke or anything. I just wanted to. I seen all my mates at school. They were playing in the school team. You can't play in the school team. And then you've got like your mates going play 5-a-side tournaments on a Sunday, and you're not allowed to play because you're at Stoke, and it's just rules. And you're just like, well, I'm missing out on so much here. And all my mates are doing the stuff. So everyone's talking about whatever they did at the weekend and the football teams at school and stuff. And you're just like, oh yeah, we played Man United, and no one's really interested in that, because at the age of 13, 14, everyone pushed the enjoyment out. And I remember coming home to my dad and saying I didn't want to do it, and he's the one who pushed me to do it almost. And I'm glad I did now, obviously. But like you say, 14 to 16, I almost had enough of it, and you wanted to go and see elsewhere. And that's where at 16 I did, to be fair. I went and played with my mates. So,
do you ever look back at that, JJ, and think, what if, what would life have been like now had you gone, do you know what, 14, falling out of love with the game, I'm just going to go back to school and play with my mates? Do you think your career might have taken a different path?
Possibly, yeah. I do, yeah. I believe it could have, but I think you only get where you want to get by earning it. So I think either way, if I wanted to get where I've done and played for all the good non-league clubs I played for, you have to earn that yourself. So you could say it might have dropped out, but then you might have kicked on again. It's if, buts, and maybes. So I suppose it's a tough question though.
So when you did leave Stoke, obviously, what was the support network around you? You mentioned there that obviously your dad was looking to push you to go as high as you possibly could, and your thought process there was, I just want to go play with mates. I'm just assuming, and I don't want to put words in your head here, is that the love of the game then came back because there was not as much stress. Would that make sense?
Possibly, yeah. And I mean, when I did leave, my dad was like, "Oh, do you want to go on trials here and there?" And I went, "Dad, I actually don't. I just want to go and play." And my dad went, "Well, I'll tell you what, go and enjoy it. But wherever you're playing, you've got to do the best for you, and you've got to be serious, like not taking the piss, doing A, B, and C." He says, because your standards will go from here to there straight away. And he says, they will. So whatever you do, you've got to do it for you and keep your standards high. And I was like, fair enough, yeah, decent. And I remember like at Stoke, you could only have black boots. I turned up for my first game with all my mates, bright orange boots. Dad comes across the field, watches, and he's like, "Get them boots off." And I'm like, so straight away, I'm like, "Oh no." And I remember him just saying, he says, "Listen, if you wear that," because they were my mate's boots. If you can remember them, the orange Mercures, they were unbelievable. Yeah. And he just went, "Listen, if you wear them boots again, I'm not coming." Like, he was pretty serious like that, and I was like, "All right, okay, getting the black ones back out then." But yeah, so I think when you go and play with your mates, we'll touch on this again, but like at Ulti, everyone was mates, everyone was together, and you almost feel like you're untouchable. If someone goes straight through the back of you, you know that your mate's going to be there to help you out and stuff like that. And I think when you're playing with your mates, it's just freedom. You play and you see what happens. And I remember the first 3 or 4 games, I just couldn't score. I was thinking, "Oh my God, I'm gone here." Terrible. And then once you get 1, 2, 3, and bang, you end up just playing for fun. And I ended up playing centre mid there because there was no point me staying on the wing or up top. You weren't getting the ball, so you're just picking the ball up in centre midfield, doing whatever you wanted to. And you almost learn to play different positions and different roles to what you're used to. And I loved it, to be fair. I did.
Something that I find really interesting, you mentioned that you came out of the academy set up from purely black football boots to then being allowed to wear whatever colour your boots. Do you think, and this is just speaking holistically, do you think that when academies say we want creative players, we want players to have their identity, to be whatever they are and show their super strengths, by restricting them to all black boots, for example, do you think that maybe takes a little bit of creativity away from a player?
It does, but it also keeps you grounded as well, to be fair. So if you're going to go in with the best flashy boots, so say your dad's a millionaire, you can go and get A, B, and C, whatever boots you want, 3 times a week. Whereas the local kid who's, say, he's not as fortunate as the millionaire's dad, he's going to have to go and get the local black Sondico boots or whatever. But I think when they're all black, no one really notices what boots they are anyway. So I think it's a good idea, personally, especially in younger age, because you've got no flashy Larry down the road saying, "Oh, look at my new £200 boots," and you got someone wearing 20 quid boots. And that's the way I seen it anyway. And I thought it was decent, but I'd never wear black boots again.
So you're playing with your friends, starting to enjoy football again, and then Kids Groove came calling. How did that come about, and how did that conversation go?
Yeah, I mean, so what I was doing is I was playing Sunday mornings with my mates, Sunday afternoon with my mates at Silverdale, and then Sunday mornings for the men's over at Silverdale, where, I mean, my dad owned the pub across the road. And I remember working behind the bar at 16, doing the glasses and stuff. And the manager come in, Brian Eardley, and was like, "I need a player for tomorrow, striker." So my dad's like, "Oh, are you playing?" I'm like, I'm just getting like this at him. "I'm not playing tomorrow, Dad." No chance. Anyway, I went and played. And you know what? I didn't find it too bad, men's football. But then I went to a camping trip with my friend Alistair and his family. And Dave Shaw, I don't know if you know Dave. Dave Shaw, he was in and around Kids Grove set up at the time. He was in and around the reserves, and he actually got me there. I mean, the ball come over, I scored an overhead kick. He was there, and he was like, "Oh man, this guy's all right." And then he was like, "What do you do Saturday wise?" And I was like, "I don't play. I just play Sunday mornings and Sunday afternoons." And anyway, he got me involved there. He'd come and pick us up for training. Me and Alistair, we lived in Silverdale and he lived in Kidsgrove. So he'd drive to pick us up, to take us back, to drop us off again. Fair play to him. But he saw something in me, in all fairness. And I owe quite a lot to Dave. He was brilliant with us, really. Brilliant.
So you had a 2-year spell, obviously 16 to 18, playing men's football. So what differences did you see, and what experience did you learn from the academy that helped you with that men's game?
Well, I remember playing for the Sunday side, Silverdale, the men's, and Brian Eardley says to him, he says, when you go on, just be strong, get your elbows in. I jumped up with my elbows, elbowed this guy. Oh my God, he's chasing me around. Thought he was going to kill me. Honestly, I'm like, running off. So yeah, that was a one. And then we played Chalif Nave one time, and I remember just getting absolutely smashed. Like, this never happened in academy. It's tick-a-tack, you play, you can dribble wherever you want. And you take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches, and you're not going to do that with men. They just smashed you, and I remember getting smashed there, and it was an eye opener, really. You're almost thinking, is this for me? Is it not? But the more you play it, the better it becomes. And I think going and playing with my mates in the afternoon, or the lads my age, it helped me, because I was going in with no fear, really. Like, oh, he's not going to hurt me, because if he does, I've took it from the men on a Sunday, so you can take it from 16-year-old lads. And you went in with no fear, and that's the way it did, really. It almost brings you on. So if any young players really hesitant to go and play men's football, you've got to play men's football as soon as you can.
Do you think that matured you and helped you? And I'm not saying you weren't mature at the time, JJ, but do you think that helped you grow up a little bit in terms of dealing with football?
Yeah, definitely. But also it shows you that you need to be a winner. If you're not a winner in football, you're not going to win. You're not going to do anything. You're going to be in bottom of the league sides, mid-table teams, playing for nothing at the end of the year. And I'll be honest, until this year, where I'm at Kidsgrove now, I haven't been involved in not a playoff team, if that makes sense. I've always been in the top half of the table, fighting for playoffs. So now you're almost mid-table, playing for nothing. It's not as fun as previous years.
So we'll come on to sort of Kidsgrove's season this year. You spent the 2 years at Kidsgrove, 16 to 18, and then local rivals Leek came in. And how did that come about? Was a scout at the game? Was it talk of stepping up higher? Because at this time we're Leek higher.
No, so Leek and Kidsgrove were in the same league, and I mean, Pete Ward was the manager at Kidsgrove at the time when I broke through. He was fantastic with me. He really was. They had the under-18 set up there, which was great, and that helped me because you were flying. So I was on the bench for the first team on a Saturday, playing for the Floodlit on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, whenever it was. So you're getting your games in. Pete Ward would go to every single game, and he'd make you feel like $1 million, as he would. But I remember going, I can't remember, it might have been Goole away with the first team for my first or second game with him. And he gave me number 18. So straight away, you only get 1 to 17 on a match strip. And he gave me number 18. And I'm thinking, I'm not even on the bench here. And they read the names out. They don't even read mine. And I'm thinking, And he says, go get warm to me. And I'm thinking, I'm not even involved here. Anyway, put someone else on. I don't get on. So the next night, I'm like, I think it was Tuesday. We had training. I just didn't go. I thought, I'm not wasting my time. And he's ringing me going, oh, son, where are you? Where are you? And I'm like, I'm not wasting my time anymore. But he knew the character I was. He was brilliant. And he was like, you're just being a baby. You're just being a baby because you haven't played. And anyway, turned up for training Thursday. Saturday's the same thing. I didn't play. But he almost didn't play me because he probably didn't want me to think that I could say and do whatever I wanted and then get a reaction from him. So he didn't play me again on the Saturday. So I was like, brilliant. But then we had Staff Senior Cup on the Tuesday, brought me on for 20 minutes. And to be fair, I ripped it up, did really well. And then that's how it went from Kidsgrove. But then Pete Ward got the sack from Kidsgrove. New owners come in. Mick actually had, I think, 3 years away from the club. And the club went downhill almost, really, because there was no... Coochie's family wasn't involved. They moved to Leek, which they are fantastic, as you know. Mick had a break from football, so it was in turmoil almost. Kidsgrove was. So when Leek, I knew that Pete Ward was like, "Oh, can you get to Leek? Can you get off your contract?" And I knew that Kidsgrove weren't paying me my full contract because I was 16, 17-year-old lad. They probably thought I didn't have to. So I went to the PFA, Dave Shaw again, got me off my contract, sorted me right out. And then I went and signed for League Town, which that was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I remember my first session, clear as day. I turned up, they had Timmy Sanders and loads of wingers on there. And I was just saying to Wardy, I went, listen, I'm not going to play here. I'm going to go back. And Wardy went, listen, and Kaz, Lee Kaz as well. They're like, you'll play. And to be fair to him, I played 56 games that season. So they played me every single game, and they were fantastic with me. Donners used to pick me up, drop me off again because he lived in Silverdale where I live. Didn't drive at the time. And they were all fantastic with me. But when you're playing with blokes at the age of 17, 18, and especially like that was my first taste of being in and around the play. We lost in the playoff semi-final. We should have won the league. We were brilliant. But that was my first taste of proper football, I think. The league days where you've got loads of fans behind you and you were flying week in, week out. It was just fantastic. It really was.
Do you know what I find interesting there, JJ, is that, you know, I'm not going to say I had a fallout with him, but there was obviously a battle between you and Wardy at that point at Kids Grove. And it's funny how quickly football can change, because that, you know, he didn't play on the Tuesday, he didn't play on the Saturday, gets a sack, goes to Leek and brings you in straight away. How important is it to keep good relationships, certainly in the non-league scene?
Yeah, and I think that's something what, to be fair, Pete Ward's taught me. I mean, whatever club I've been at in the past, you can generally check my phone. I'll still be speaking to the managers now, because that's just the person I am, and I'll never leave with a bad bridge almost. But Wardy taught me that. But he had something Wardy did where you couldn't play for 5 games, but you'd still want to run for a bit wall for him. It was crazy. He was just fantastic with you. And even now, like he'll ring me, and if I don't call him Gaff on the phone, he'll be like, "Oh, it's Gaff to you." And he's just fantastic. I mean, when we had the little, and he'd come down with a card and presents and stuff, and he's just brilliant. He really is.
It was just a very short and sweet spell at League, because then you went over to Crewe. Was that the form that you had that season that got you that move, and how did it feel about going back into a pro club?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I had probably about 5 months at League where I was flying. I mean, it just felt like I was untouchable generally. I was injury free. I was young. I was fit. I was flying. I didn't drink alcohol. It was just I was bombing. And then probably about 5 months in, League said that, listen, Crewe Alex have come in for you. Stevenage have come in for you. We're looking to sell you, but obviously we don't want you to go anywhere. But it's a big opportunity for you. And I think League were 3rd or 4th at the time. And I was like, right, okay. We played Altrincham and the FA Trophy were in the conference, and I absolutely ripped the game up. I was brilliant, and an Alfreton guy was there as well. Russ O'Neill, he was there. But in terms of the Crewe move, I had the choice between Stevenage and Crewe. Stevenage, the train tickets were all booked, the digs were set up for me for the week, and I should have gone down there and just to see if it was for me and all that. And I remember getting to the station with my dad and saying, "Dad, I don't want to go away." Like, I was a homeboy. I didn't want to move to London really at the age of 17, 18. So I went to Crewe for a week. It was decent. I liked it. It was, for the first week or two, it was good. I was flying. And then as I signed, I went back on loan to League Town for the remainder of the season. And you've seen me in training. I don't really like training. So when you're training day in, day out, in my head, I couldn't get my head around training day in, day out to go and play for League. I was like, it doesn't make sense. But Bakes was brilliant with me. But for some reason, I just never really got that chance to play at Crewe. Maybe it was, again, because I hate training. I want to be the main man at wherever I go. I want to be liked, I want to be loved. And at Crewe, you weren't. Everyone was the same. Everyone was equal. And it just didn't really work out for whatever reason it was. I can't tell you a reason, to be fair, but it worked out for me. Obviously, I went back to League. We lost in the playoffs, which was gutting, but again, it was an ideal situation because I could still finish what I started with League that year.
So you've gone from an academy side to going and enjoying the game with your mates, and then you fly in, your confidence high. You've then gone to a pro club, back out on loan. Where's your head at this point with football? Were you still enjoying it? Did you come disillusioned at any point with it, or?
Before I signed at Crewe, I was flying. I generally think like the way I was playing, I reckon I could have played League One, Championship easily. Like I was just no fear, nothing could touch me. The world's at my feet, really. Signed at Crewe, and then you're almost again like you just fall a bit out of love with it by playing. I was playing football every day, but like not enjoying it. It was like the way I can describe it is I felt like I was a kid again, where I was being told like you have to be in this position, you can't come across here, you don't do this, you do this, and like as a 17, 18-year-old lad, you need that, but I didn't at that time. I just needed to play. If they just let me play, I'd have been fine. But because there was restrictions on like where you're playing, so say you're playing in the free in the midfield, where you could be on the pitch and you'd work on that day in, day out. And you'd be there 9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't drive, which didn't help. So my dad would take me, or I'd get a lift with Byron Moore or Ryan Colclough. And then you got Byron and Ryan who want to shoot off after, whereas I could have done with staying in the gym because I was tiny, I was weak. I haven't been what they'd done for years and years, but you couldn't do that stuff. So you're always at a disadvantage, really, if I'm honest.
Was there then a weight of expectation when you went back to Leek, having been at a pro club day in, day out? Was there an expectation for you to perform? And was there maybe, would you say, a bit of a tag saying, that's JJ, he's from Crewe? Were you expected to go and perform week in and week out?
Yeah, I think the way I started the season, there was an expectation on me anyway, because you can't start like that and then not follow it up. So I think if you'd have basically downed your tools because you were at Crewe on loan at Leek, then you're letting all your mates down, you're letting the managers down, you're letting the fans there who've got you to where you are. So when I was at Leek, I was loving it. It was more when I was going to the full-time environment, which it just didn't suit me for whatever reason. I just think it was because I don't really like training.
Very honest of you, that, to be fair. And you spent time at Leek, we mentioned, and had a great relationship with Wardy. You then moved to Alfreton. How did that move come about, and what were the deciding factors in moving away?
So again, Alfreton, they watched me when I played at Leek for Altrincham, against Altrincham, in the FA Trophy. I did really well, got man of the match and stuff, set up 2 goals, and that was in a Conference Premier team. And don't forget, I think that's Northern Premier North or something like that, where I was. And basically, Steve Davis come and says, we've had an offer for you to go on loan. What do you think for a month? And straight away, I was like, yeah, 100%, I'll go. I didn't care where it was. Didn't even know where Alfreton was in the country at the time. I was like, yeah, I'll go. And this was the year after obviously Leek ended. And then I just went on loan for a month and I ripped it up. I think I scored, it might have been 3 and 4 or 4 games for him. And I was brilliant. I remember my first game. Do you remember John Parkin, who used to be at Stoke?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was standing on his toes on a throw, and then he just literally went, move. I was like, oh, brilliant. It's going to be a long season there. But they were in the Conference Premier at the time, Alfreton. And I loved it. I did really well. I enjoyed my time there. Russ and Nicky were fantastic with me. Still speak to Russ now. Like I say, still keep them relationships. He's manager of Guiseley now. So I loved it. It was brilliant. But what I was doing there is, again, I wasn't training. So I was telling Crewe I was training with Alfreton. I was training with Crewe. I was just at home. The class.
Is that where the love affair with golf started then?
Oh yeah, honestly. And then, well, my dad owned a pub as well, so I got unbelievable at like snooker, pool, darts. It was class, honestly. Lived the dream for a month.
So we might have just had a breaking secret come out. So if any of the Crewe lads are listening, he was actually playing darts instead of training. You then moved on to Salford, JJ. That's where obviously the club were on a bit of a rise there. How did that feel when you were playing for them?
Yeah, I mean, Alfreton, we got relegated from the conference that year, and then we were in the Conference North, and I wasn't playing for whatever reason. I was travelling down with Cliff Moyo. It was fine. We were training. It was all good, and you just almost know when your time's up at the football club, I think. And for that season, we went a bit we went a bit more direct, and we didn't really play with me. Like, my strengths, there's no point clipping the ball to me because, as you know, I need the ball at feet. But anyway, so that come to an end. But I remember I went on a night out with all my mates after a Saturday game where I didn't play. And I was just like, I'm going to ring him on Monday. I'm going to ring Nicky and just see if I can go on loan somewhere or just get out of the club because I can't keep doing this. And anyway, the next morning I'm lying on the sofa, rough as anything. And I keep getting a phone call, and it was this Scottish bloke, Gareth. He was the Salford scout, and he was like, "Oh, hi JJ, it's Gareth from Salford. We'd be interested in taking you on a loan." And I was just like, yeah, sound mate, to put the phone down. I thought he was one of my mates on a wind-up, generally did. Like, Salford, they just had the FA Cup run where they were on tally against Hartlepool and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, these are on a wind-up. Anyway, rings me straight back, and I'm like, hello. And he's like, hi, it's Gareth. Your phone cut off then. I went, yeah, all right, mate, sound. Yeah, I'll be there. Put the phone down. So anyway, this guy must be thinking I'm a clown. 100%. And then Nicky Law drops me a message and says, JJ, why'd you keep putting the phone down on the Salford scout? So straight away I'm ringing the Salford scout back there, and I'm like, sorry mate, I'll be honest, I told all my mates last night I needed a loan and A, B and C, and then you keep ringing me, and I thought it was a wind-up. And you know what, he was fantastic about the situation. He was proper ledge. Yeah, he was brilliant. And then I went and played for Salford. I loved that, absolutely loved it. John and Birmingham managers. And I was just flying. I got the bug back. I was hungry for football. So I think I scored my first 4 games. I think I scored 5 goals. Scored 2 on my debut, and it was just brilliant. It was brilliant. Honestly, loved it. Which resulted in promotion.
Sorry, Jay. Do you find, you mentioned earlier in the podcast that you like being the main man and feeling that you loved. Bernie and Jono, they come across as characters who don't, from the outside looking in, they don't do that. But I'm very sure that they're excellent man managers. Did they make you feel like a superstar, and is that why you performed so well at the beginning of your career with them?
Yeah, I genuinely believe that. Yeah, I mean, I was the first player they brought for Salford. So straight away you're going in, you're thinking these guys have got to like you. But they're fantastic. Even the families. I mean, during the lockdown just gone, we were all playing poker, but I was involved with their family, like, so I was playing poker with all the family online, and they're just great families, great people, and I loved it, and I felt a part of what they were building, really, and that was the big thing for me.
After Salford, then came Altrincham, and anybody that has kept tabs on non-league football will be well aware of the rise of Altrincham on the Park Inn, including the documentary that was broadcast. How did your time at Altrincham go, and how did you feel with maybe that little bit of spotlight on you with the documentary?
Yeah, so I mean, Salford had a documentary, didn't they? That was fantastic to be involved in that. But when they were going full time, I had a job at the college, so I didn't want to give that up because I had a missus. We were going for a house. It was ideal timing to not go into that full time environment. So I spoke to John and Byrne. I was open and honest, and I just says it's time for me to move on. And they were brilliant with it. I stayed in touch with them, like you say again. And then as soon as Parky knew that I was leaving Salford, I was his first signing. And again, knowing that you're someone's first signing at a football club as big as Altrincham, after, even though they've had back-to-back relegations, you knew the project, the task, what Parky had in hand. And Parky's one of them managers who, for example, he'd give you that to look at and say, read that, this is what the club's about, this is what I'm about. Do you want to be involved? You're not. And if you're not involved in that, then you're out the door, really. And I just, to be honest, you say I hit the ground running. At Altrincham, I didn't actually start very well, because I normally go into a club and I'm fantastic, but I went to Altrincham and I didn't really start too good. I don't know if I was at that stage in my life where football wasn't the main priority for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't driving. But then I remember first 2-3 games, we didn't win. Altrincham didn't win the game. We didn't win a game, and the fans are on everyone's backs, and you're just thinking, oh no, what are we doing here? We had the best team. We had the likes of Jordan Hume, James Paul, Jake Malt. It was a great side, but we didn't start well. So I got bombed at Matlock away, got put on a bench. We win the game, and I'm thinking, uh-oh. Then the next game we win again. And I just go into, I went, listen, I'm not sitting on a bench all year. That's what I said, even though the games were winning. And I was just honest. I went, listen, I'm not going to do that anyway. What do you mean? I went, I'm not sitting on a bench. It's not happening. And anyway, to be fair, the next game we had an injury in training and I played. And then I played and played and played. And I was like, the way Parky described it to me was, you have to be on the bench, but when you get in, you take your chance. And as soon as I got back in that team, I wasn't coming out. There was no way that was happening again. And I just started flying, and that was it. Then you become a fan's favourite, and it was that really helped. I'll be honest. The fans singing your name, the fans being A, B, and C to you. It was a proper family club, and it reminded me of my days at League Town, where the fans were all on board. Everyone was going in the right direction. But it also helps when you're winning games of football. You're winning week in, week out. It doesn't matter who we were playing. We were going to beat them. It doesn't matter. The team we had was Conference North team. It was. We were brilliant, and that was the way it went really for that first year.
Was there any particular secret behind that group and the rise that they've had since?
Just togetherness, just general togetherness. Like we go to Dublin. We went to Dublin every single Christmas. It was fantastic. The chairman had come. To be fair, Parky didn't come. He said he needs to step back from the team at this point. The kit man would be there, and everyone was there, and everyone was involved in what was a fantastic few years at the club, really.
Then the move to Chester came about. Did that come around, and was there a pulling factor in that? The fact that John and Bernie were there at the time.
Yeah, so I mean, when obviously they took the Chester job, you send them a message as you do to congratulate them, and they were like, "Brilliant, you're doing well, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah, flying, loving it." And anyway, that was that. And I remember I was flying again. I was doing really well that season. We went to Gateshead away. We lost, and looking at the league table where we were and stuff. And then Chester made a bid for me, which released my release clause in my contract. So Parky, to be fair, he was fighting to keep me at the club. He was, and the club were trying to keep me. But in my head, I wanted to go at the hybrid model because I thought, actually, it's not full time, so I might love this, where you're training, because I work, so I just train Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Friday mornings. So it suited me down to a T, and I just went for it. I just thought, yeah, brilliant. John and Byrne were telling me all about the club and what they want to do with it, where they want to go, and I just jumped at the opportunity. To be fair, I just jumped at it.
You alluded there, you're working at the college, and it's something I want to touch on. You're obviously a full-time coach with the Andy Griffin Academy. They're working on is it the BTEC program, if I'm right?
Yeah,
16 to 18-year-olds. How did then taking sessions yourself impact the way that you played and saw the game? Did that ever lead to disagreements or how am I going to put this, sort of differences in opinions of what was expected of you and what you thought you could do as a player, if that makes any England?
Yeah, so I was, every session I did at the college, I'd do whatever Ulti did on the Tuesday night. So Neil Sorvell will put a session on, and I'm like, right, I'm having that one, bang, and just tweak it to your capability. And I mean, I've just done my B license now, so I remember messaging Sorv saying, mate, can you send me some of them sessions again? Like, I need some more. But no, I mean, I think when you're a coach, you see it from a different point of view. So as I'm coaching now, I do see the sides of like management where you've got to manage players, which for me, I must have been an absolute nightmare to manage, because if I'm not playing in that team, I hated it. I'd hate it. I'd stroll about the place. I'd like not train properly. I'd be a baby really. But as you're getting older now, and I think I see that. So now I'm 27. Like, if I'm not involved, I'm not involved, and you have to suck that up. And that's what I'm almost trying to give back to these 16, 17-year-old lads, to say, listen, I've been to the college, I've been in your shoes. If you want to get to here, A, B, and C, you have to do A, B, and C. You can't be this about it. And when you see like players moving on, like from our college, Lewis Salmon, who I got to Altrincham, who's then been brought by Nottingham Forest, and straight away you're like, you know what, you've had a hand in his career there. Ethan Cartwright, who's at Chester now, like, without you opening them doors, I mean, listen, you can only open the doors, but they've got to knock them down. So when you're seeing kids do that, who you believe in yourself, you're almost like, that's fantastic. That's better than playing for me. now when I'm seeing players progressing through the systems, it's fantastic to see that what me and Griff are doing at the college now is working for these lads. So, but in terms of sessions, yeah, I do sometimes when I'm taking part in sessions, I think I wouldn't be doing this with my lads. No way. Yeah. That's it. Altrincham, at Chester, at Kidsgrove, I'd be like, no, what we're doing. But you can't have that say, because if you start having that say, then you're almost dictating what the managers can do, what the players can do. And if you start doing that, you've got to be top of your game to be saying A, B, and C about the sessions and stuff, which, to be fair, I don't want to be. I just want to go to football, do what I'm told to do, go home. So that's the way I've seen it. But then when I'm coaching, it's my philosophy, my sessions, the way I want to be. So it's good. It's good to have that fine balance of my football, my coaching, and it's totally different. I mean, the football I play now is totally different than the football I coach. It is. Whereas my football I coach is Alti's football, tiki-taka.
Yeah. And I suppose that then does come down to the players that you work with. I know we've had the conversation before that the college that you work with, try and recruit the best players in the area. So you're able to do that and put your sort of stamp on that in those college leagues. So again, that it's always been an interest for me. Players who become coaches and still play, how does that impact on your relationship with managers and teammates and how you play? Because listen, you know me, I'm quite opinionated. If that was me, I'd be going, nah, nonsense. This is how we should play. That's wrong. And I've always been interested in that, and that's probably what's got me in trouble when I played at a very, very low level years ago.
Yeah, definitely. But again, I think you've got to have that fine balance. If you want to start going in and say this is wrong, you've got to back it up. Whereas for me, I just want to just go and play football. I just want to go. So that's my escapism from my job. Go play football, go play your golf, and then you get back to your work where it's 9 to 5, Monday to Thursday. Really, that's the way it is, and the way I see it. I say to Shaw all the time, like, I've got to go away on a midweek game, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. What am I doing? But it's pros and cons, isn't it? It's pros and cons. But I think as a coach now playing football, you have to keep yourself back from the football side of coaching. You just have to cut the line. If your coach says go and head the ball, you don't want to do it, you have to do it. It just is what it is.
That's interesting. It's always been an interest of mine. Obviously, your time at Chester was interrupted by COVID. How frustrating was that then, having gotten joined a new club, and then it was almost 18 months, wasn't it, of interruption, no games? How did that impact your love of the game?
Yeah, so I mean, I signed an 18-month deal at first, and then we did all right. To be fair, I did okay, but I think Chester, like the way they played, was just a different style than Altringham's. It generally was, with the players they had at the time. It was just different. We're playing a 4-4-2, which for me is I don't like a 4-4-2. I want to be 4-3-3, wide right. You stay there. Your mate will come across and cover you and get you the ball. That's as simple as that. And I mean, not every team can play like that, by the way. And I think generally the fans at Chester, because they paid a club record fee for me, I think that they thought that they were getting like a Messi or someone who's going to score you 30 goals a season just because I've scored 20 goals at Altrincham the year before. They thought that I was going to get 20 goals in 10 games or whatever I was playing, and there was almost a lot of pressure when I joined Chester, to be fair. And John and Byrne were fantastic with me. They kept trying to take the pressure off me, and then game after game, the pressure would be coming. And then when COVID came, as daft as it seemed, I think COVID helped me because there was no fans in the grounds. I'd go out and I'd just play football. It didn't matter if I made a mistake. It didn't matter in my head if I was awful. I'm just playing football, but I was fine. I was decent. I was good again. And I'm one of them who needs fans normally. Like if there's an empty ground, I'm like, this is rubbish. This is crap. But now, like when COVID came, it was almost like a sense of, brilliant. Let's just go play football. And I played. I did well. And then I think the year after, the fans come back in, and I was fine. I was doing well. And then COVID come, bang, a break, and then we had Ulti in the playoffs. possible draw ever. In fact, that was the year before, I think, when the season got. Anyway, we got ulti in the playoffs. Yeah, what a bad day. What a bad day. I take a corner, first man clears it out. They go on the counter. I put the afterburners on, sprint all the way down, get in front of him, and just make a good tackle. To be fair, make a great tackle in the box. Ref comes over, red card, penalty, and I'm going, ref, are you joking? Like, one, there's a double jeopardy rule now, so you can't get sent off for both. But he just wouldn't change your decision. So that's the only game in football I feel like I've been cheated. Generally, wow. It was gutting, but obviously getting sent off against your old club as well. That's a killer.
Against all clubs as well.
I know, but then when they go through and they get promoted, you're buzzing for them, because that's, if you're not getting promoted yourself, you want all your mates to get promoted. So when they did, it was fantastic.
Then, obviously, COVID, return to play came in, and obviously you've got the work-life balance. You mentioned there you've got a wife and a young lad. So in September last year, if I'm right, you rejoined Kidsgrove. How did that sort of come about, and what were the reasons behind? And listen, JJ, everyone knows you can play higher. So what was the reason for dropping down the leagues? Was it just to enjoy your football?
So again, it almost goes back to when you were younger, to try and enjoy it again, because I mean, I generally only felt that at Chester I had one good friend, which is Jamie Morgan. I still speak to him now. You know, Morgan, don't you? Top lad. He's flying. I love him. He's great. And I just went into John Burn. I was open and honest. I mean, I was on the bench for 3 games, but I come on for 3 times, and I changed the game 3 games. Mm-hmm. We had training on the Thursday. I wasn't involved on the Saturday. We were travelling up to Newcastle upon Tyne for a game, and I knew I wasn't going to be playing. And I just went, it's not for me anymore. I said, I'm working till 5. I'm shooting straight up here. I'm turning up late. You're finding me because you've got to, because I'm late. And I was just like, I'm not playing. I'm done, really. I said, not enjoying my football. I said, so the best thing we can do is just shake hands and I'll go. And they were like, well, we can't just do that, because we know that you'll go back to Ulti. as they're honest with me. And I went, I won't go back to Ulti this season. I said, I generally won't. I said, I'll go and play for my local club, Kidsgrove, if they'll have me. And he was like, well, listen, if you're generally like not wanting to be at the club, we can't keep you at the club, but we can't have you going to A, B, and C. And I just shook both their hands and I says, listen, I won't be going to Ulti or anyone. I'll go to Kidsgrove. And I just rang Nick straight after, sorted it, and bang. That was that simple, really.
And how have you found the change in that? And again, this is no disrespect to Kidsgrove or any other team in that league. How have you found the difference of standard and the way that teams play?
Yeah, it's different, to say the least. Yeah, like I think my second game was away to Rylands, and I think Chester were playing York away. So York had got the brand new stadium, and Rylands had got a porter cabin, and I was just like, oh no, yeah. I remember just standing there and thinking, like it was almost gutting really. But when you play your home games, it's fantastic. I love playing at home for Kidsgrove. I love the ground and setup. But when you go away games, it's just not nice. Generally not. And I mean, I had this conversation with Scott the other day. Like when we played City Liverpool, the pitch was horrendous. The wind was blowing across. It was raining. It was a big scrap. We were just smacking the ball one way. It was coming back. It'd smack it, and I'm just like, there's no point playing me in them games. Like, as daft as I know it's probably going to do me out of starting a game. I said I never want you to think that, but I'm no good in them games. Even Parky, when we played Buxton away and places like that, when we won the league, he'd leave me out of the team because he'd know that I'm not going to be useful in that game. And it almost does me more harm than good, because the next game I'm going to try and make it up, if that makes sense. So almost a step down has been hard, because it's different football. It's totally different. Like, you're playing off second balls. The way Kidsgrove are best, get the ball into Malves' feet, Malves will set, get the ball wide, I'll get the ball in the box, Malves will get in there, goal. But we don't almost play like that, because I don't know if it's the league or whatever. We want to fight, we want to scrap, and you've got to win second balls, first balls, and straight away. Whereas the higher up you get, you've almost earn the right to get the ball down and play. Whereas at Kids Grove, you've got to scrap first and then earn the right. So it's been difficult, to be fair. Difficult. I mean, I still played well, still scored goals, but it's been difficult, especially away from home. Home games are fantastic. Don't mind them.
Before we move on to sort of our quick fire question round, where you get to get one over your teammates, past and present. What does the future hold for you now, JJ? Obviously, you're at Kids Grove now, enjoying your football, enjoying the club. Coaching wise, happy. What does the future hold for you? Where would you like to see the next sort of 5 years be?
So, I mean, I think I'll play football till I'm around 35, 36, hopefully. To play as long as I can. And then in terms of career, I don't know if hopefully we can get Kids Grove promoted. I do want to get back to that National League North after having a break from it, to be fair. National League North or National League. I do want to kick back on again because I don't want to come back with a regret. Because listen, careers are short. It doesn't matter. Like I say to my wife all the time, she's a teacher. She's got to go for that head teacher's role. She's got to move on and kick on. What I don't want to do is, in 10 years' time, when my career's come to an end, me think, oh, what if? Why did I do this? No, why didn't I do this? So, I mean, in terms of the near future, I see myself at Kids Grove. I want to get Kids Grove promoted. Still now, I back myself to go and be a top player in them leagues. I do, generally.
Final question then from me.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, go on.
I'm saying, and then after when I retire, I want to go into the coaching world, like in the non-league world, because I've been around it all my life, and I think I've got a lot already at 27 to offer. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to go in as a manager. I want to go in as a coach. Okay. Like, for example, if Andy Griffin took a job, I'd go with him as his coach. I don't want to be the manager who has to let players down. Yeah, I'm like, even now at the college, I'll be like, oh mate, I see it's Griff. If it was me, you'd be playing. It's not, mate. It's not. But I don't want to upset anyone. I'm not like that. I'm probably too nice for me. I'm good.
We had a conversation with Luke Garrard around 12 months ago. Probably a bit longer now, actually. And he was saying the best role in football is either the first team coach or assistant, because you're never wrong. And it always falls on the manager. So I get you with that. Maybe I think management role would be something that might suit you going down, as long as you've got a good coaching staff around you.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, mate. We'll have to see.
So before we go onto the quick fire questions, and they're never ever quick fire, by the way, what advice would you give to any young footballers wanting a career in the game?
Enjoy it. Don't think too far ahead. Just play the next game as it comes. Don't be thinking, where will I be in 6 games time, or 4 games, or 10 games. You've got to play every game like it's your last. Got to. If you don't take that attitude in, you'll struggle. When you're flying and you're comfortable and you're doing really well, don't let the highs of football take you too high, and don't let the lows take you too low. Try and keep grounded. And another one, you've just got to play with a smile on your face. If you're smiling and you're playing, you're a better player. As you've noticed, if I'm not in a good mood, I'm terrible. If I'm in a good mood, doesn't matter what I do.
No comments on that one, JJ. Quick fire question time, mate. Again, never really quick fire, but we'll see how we get on with it. Best manager or coach played under?
It's got to be between John Owen Byrne and Parky. I mean, John Owen Byrne, fantastic, great blokes. But I think I'll have to go Parky, just because his man management, the team he put together, and my time there, I think that's the best I've been in my career personally. So yeah, I'll go Parky, but John and Byrne close second. But then you got Pete Ward, Ross. Oh, it's just tough. Some good managers there.
See what I mean? It's never quick fire.
No, it's tough that.
Best friend in football?
Best friend in football. See, now I've got 2. It's got to be Malty and it's got to be Morgs. They are top guys, and I couldn't split them now. I mean, I travelled them with Malty for 3 years. Travelled them with Morgs for 2-3 years, and they're both great people, and I still speak to them now. Go on nights out with them, go A, B, and C. I mean, Morgs, he's been texting me all morning because he has Fridays off, so we normally go to the gym or do something or go golf. But yeah, them two are top blokes.
Who's been your toughest opponent?
Sean Newton at York. Oh, I hated playing against him. When, like, even at Ulti at Chester, he plays left back or left centre half. And you know what? We had this conversation with Morgs the other day because he's just signed at Buxton, Sean has. And I was just like, that he's just too hard to get past. He's got everything. He's got pace. He's got power. He's got a wand of a left foot, but he's also got like the aggression in him. So I always have a little chat to my fullbacks, mate, and he never talked back, and straight away I'm in trouble. So yeah, Sean Newton from York.
Who's been the best trainer that you've witnessed?
TGI, Training Ground Internationals. That's
who's been the best
one? I'm going to say Danny Elliott, by the way, because at Chester, doesn't matter if he played or not, he'd be the first one out there, the last one to go. He'd be staying, do finishing, and he was brilliant. To be fair, he was brilliant, and he's flying now at Boston, so there's no shock in that really.
Best player you've played with?
Oh, damn, that's tough. Jordan Hume was brilliant at Ulti, but I'm going to say Jake Moult. For me personally, he'd get me the ball all the time, and he'd do the doggies for me. He'd do the dirty stuff. He'd win it, and he'd get it. And he's almost an unsung hero, really. But Jordan Hume's close because I could put a bad ball in and make it into a good one. But yeah, I'm going to go Moulty. Fantastic.
Best moment in football to date?
I scored in the playoffs for Ulti against Blythe. We were 3-0 down just before half time. Get a penalty and goes in. I mean, it was a terrible penalty. Keeper dives one way, hits the bobble, goes over and get in. Class. But it turned the game around. The pressure I had on that was scary. But also got the Portsmouth FA Cup. When we had that run with Ulti, that was brilliant. Got to the fourth round in that. Played Portsmouth away toe to toe. We scored 81st minute, and then 91st minute I come off. They score 92nd, get him over, gutting. So highs and lows, mad football, crazy.
What's been your biggest wow moment?
Wow moment. Have you seen the goal I scored for Salford against Harrogate?
Is that one you sent me on YouTube?
Oh yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I sent it to everyone, everyone. Yeah, I mean, just I picked the ball up off a throw and ran across the pitch, probably about 25, 30 yards out, just hit it. And as it's gone in, I've literally just gone, oh, okay. Okay. Then that was it. Unbelievable, yeah. So got that one for life in the memory bank. I'll show Harry that when he's a bit older.
Who's been the biggest role model or influence in football for you?
Yeah, it'll have to be my dad. He's been fantastic. I mean, Mum passed away when we were younger, when we were 10. So he just dropped everything for us, really, and took us all over the country, up and down. Whether it was Birmingham away with Stoke or Liverpool away, he'd always be there. He wouldn't miss it. He'd work around us and never miss training, never be late for anything. And he was key on that, really. If I was late, then it's his fault. And he was fantastic with us. So, yeah, it's got to be my dad.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh, as a player or person or everything?
Both.
Oh, so as a player, I'd say speedboat, no driver. I'm only kidding. Nah, as a player, I'd say quick, direct, energetic. As a person, complex, a character, and just a nice person, really.
I'll let you off with that. There was a few extra than 3 words in there, but to finish, mate, you'll be glad to know, is there anyone you would recommend or like to hear on our podcast?
Your podcast, yeah. You know what? I could put you in touch with Jamie Morgan. He'd be a funny one, He would. He'd be good. I think Andy Griffin would be good. Do you think I can get him on? I'd like to hear Wayne. Wayne, you know Wayne, don't you? Wayne Demond.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a listen to him.
To be fair, we've asked. He's not, as you know him, he's not very media savvy. Doesn't like the spotlight on him, even though he's a great player.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that. So we've had Danny Bowers on. Danny came on.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, Wayne's got some great stories as well. He has. Multi would be good. And also Jordan Hume, I could get you in. He's a cracker and he's a belter. So if you want any of them, mate, drop me a message and we'll get them on. But definitely I think Morgs would be an interesting one.
Yeah, I'll have a chat with him about it because he's been in around the non-league scene a bit, hasn't he? And had some ups and downs. So definitely speak to him about that.
He has. He's never been involved in playoffs like poor lad, but yeah.
There's still time.
Might be relegation battles for him.
I might drop that in then when we do get him on, saying that you're insinuating that everywhere he goes, they struggle.
They do. Yeah, absolutely.
JJ, listen, mate. I appreciate. Obviously, you've taken up your Friday afternoon for me, and I just want to thank you for joining us today. Give us an insight into your career and digging a couple of ex-teammates out there. But listen, we want to wish you Kids Grove well moving forward. Good luck with the coaching, mate, and as always, we'll look forward to speaking to you soon.
Brilliant, top man. Thanks for having me, pal. Appreciate it.
Hello, we are Tile Central UK, local tile stockist here on Trentham Trade Park, Stanley Matthews Way. Our opening hours are 8 till 5 in the week and Saturdays till 12.